Hello, classmates. Here we go. I hope you have your textbook right there open to chapter 9. And of course, you have something to write with and something to write on. And the big question is whether you are ready. Here are some details about what's going on in the business world right now. And by the time that you will be a management level, oh, it's going to be even more so. For example, 190 messages every day to read, write, and average of 2 hours per day sending and reading emails. And overall reading is so prevalent. Everything we do has to do with reading now, whether it's websites, million words a week. So get ready. And of course, we as 21st century communications experts, we need to make it as easy as possible for our readers to find the information that she is looking for. Let's talk about reports. Come in two flavors, the formal and the informal one. And then, of course, can be either long or short. Good news, we will be dealing with the more informal and short report. But still there is a very specific sequence and structure to that. Then we have an informational or analytical type of report. And that means we are either giving out information or we are proposing solutions. And we'll be definitely dealing with the analytical one for us. The vertical and horizontal or lateral is either this way or that way. And heads up, you will be writing a report that will go vertical. And that is the one where you are going to ask for the authorization to do something coming up later. Now, internal, external, of course, self-explanatory. But however, the purple one down there, the periodic one, is one that, for example, comes out every quarter or monthly sales numbers. Those are periodic reports. Whereas the functional one is specifically for a purpose, and that's the one we'll be dealing with. How can we gather information? Well, most often we're going to use secondary research. That means we're going to use data that is available somewhere already. Some other person has done all the research for us, and we just need to make sure that we're using it in such a way that it's valid and creditable. And then there's the primary research, and that means we're doing some original surveys, or we're doing focus groups or something else like that. And our text is going into the details of how to write those questions so that they make sense. And yes, we'll be having some fun with that. Now, for a business report, and we're going to focus on the proposal, it needs to be organized so that the reader can information quickly. Let's not assume that every proposal, every report is going to be read from beginning to end like a book. Instead, we're probably going to read it like this part and that part, and then we're going to compare different proposals. So we're going to look at, let's say, the budget numbers only at first, or the timelines only. Needs to be supported, so there's the research, and the sources need to be included. And finally, of course, it needs to be useful. That means the writer needs to clearly understand what the problem is. Now, the definition of the purpose needs to be very clear. And as always for us 21st century business writers, we need to be really clear on the audience. As always, as 21st century business communication experts, we need to have our audience in mind as we are writing. Terminologies that we use, all of those we have to keep in mind. Who is going to be reading it? Who is going to be listening to it? And then we need to understand, okay, what data do we need in order to solve the problem, in order to help the decision makers make that decision? Now, What are the steps in the problem solving? Of course, we really need to be clear on what the problem is and how are we going to approach it. We need data in order to tackle it, and then we need to have the answer for that. So for an informal short proposal, which is what we will be doing, these are the parts. As you can see, there are 6. The expectation is to use headers, all of those, or I'll show you how to do headers using Microsoft. And this is a heads up for you. Think about your company team in our class. You are actually now the task force that will be planning and presenting a workshop to your colleagues who will be moving to that new country and new city. And that means you need to put a proposal together that will go to the boss, whoever it is, and in order to prepare for this one-day workshop. Of course, we need to have a budget, and we need to have a timeline, and we need to say who is going to do what in the workshop, what kind of topics are you going to cover. Sorry, I'm laughing because my cat is here. Oh, about to run from. And so start thinking about that. You will upload a short document, just a list of ideas of what should be included in this proposal. And then you will have a chance to sit together and start on actually writing the proposal. And I'll see you then.